Okay, now this next couple is coming up with 20 years of marriage experience, and they are going to come with you with a very important topic. It is called the importance of your vows. David and Maurita Brown.
Now, David and Maurita Brown, between the two of them, they have 6 children and 6 grandchildren, and they've traveled all around the world to speak God's word to those who dare to believe. Between the two of them, they have many gifts and talents. Maurita is a PhD candidate and a life coach to women. David is completing his BA in business administration, and he's an entrepreneur that owns his own food truck. We are so excited to have Maurita and David Brown sharing with us today about the importance of your vows.
Let's go.
Okay, so we were asked to do this, and I think it's really, really charming. But our vows, when I first met you, what did I ask you? You know, I was just like so in love with you. And I was like, oh my God, can we?
Is this a trick question?
No,
You asked me, can I marry you? Will I marry you?
No, that was, I did not ask you, could you marry me? Would you marry me? But remember when we decided to get married, and it was just so beautiful, our wedding. Do you even remember that? How many people we have in our wedding? Because I have no earthly idea what you said to me the first time, 20 years ago, right? We'll be married 20 years next year, so we're planning our next ceremony. I don't remember, but I do remember how I felt when you said them. But I know every 5 years, it's like a refresher for us. What do you think?
I think they are, but at the same time, if put more emphasis on the fact that vows are important, period. It keeps us focused with where we are going with the relationship. And it kind of offers a kind of check and balance, I think, to make sure that we don't become distracted by things on the side. If you don't make a vow, commitment to something, then most of the time you're not going to do it. Even more so now than ever, I think it's important to write it down, because that becomes our, anchor. That becomes our lighthouse. And if you write things down, you have a tendency of doing it. If you don't write it down, you're probably not going to do it. It looks good, it sounds good, but tomorrow you won't remember what was said.
And we do a lot of that, writing down. I know during our marriage, when things would get a little rocky, we'll write what we like about each other, what we don't like about each other. And I would, of course, fuel up and get totally upset when you say the things you don't like. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You remember those moments? Those moments? But those are good moments. I mean, they're not always the best moments, because you kind of tell me things that I don't want to hear. But I respect the fact that you're saying it, and we just try to make it better, apologize. I mean, even before, because we have a lot of friends that think, oh my God, you and David have such a great marriage. They tell us this. No, assume. But we had a little tidbit today about something that I don't remember, but it was so much going on. We were helping our son get ready for a date with his girlfriend, her birthday, and David wanted to finish his homework. I wanted his attention. It probably had nothing to do with anything. Are you laughing?
Definitely.
But one of the, being married almost 20 years, outside of recreating vows and having a wedding and re-celebrating why we got married. I mean, it's almost like we don't see each other that day. And we've talked to a lot of couples, and they are like implementing this where they are. But we rekindled the whole thing. Like, he put the new ring on my finger. He took the ring back. We always have a pastor marry us. We do the whole 9 yards, the reception, the wedding, everything. We receive gifts. And for me, it's just, and instead of just having an anniversary dinner and just saying, hey, I'm taking you out, I'm that girl. I love going all out. I love exploiting who he is and how good he is to me. That's one of the things that I feel is really important, because when I listen to him talk to other people about me, he's always my wife. And that just makes me feel so good, because I am his wife. And it's like, oh my God, he's talking about me. So any chance that I get, when we're out in public or whatever.
I don't always say my wife. Sometimes I say my girlfriend.
Well, I'm glad I can be both to you. So I love his jokes. I just love that. So I love when we're out in public. We have this thing. You want to share our thing? What we do when we go out? Like if we go to one of my Queen events or one of my speaking engagements and I bring you along. I mean, we can tell my secret. I always say you're my secret. What? When I take you places, you're my secret.
Husband.
No. You do it now for real. Like you have a badge. Hint, hint.
Security guard.
Yes, he's been my security all of my marriage. Like we don't hire me security. He's my security, right? So when we go out, we enter in together and then we separate. We're going to share our little love game. So what happened? What was that last one when we were at that lounge downtown? It was an event that I went and did a little speaking thing at. You remember, with the boots and the black dress?
That was one that the lady tried to come and sit on my lap. No.
Yes, that was the one. That was the one. So I'm like with my girls, my queens. I know it's so funny. Look at him blush. So I look up and my husband's like way across. This place is like a warehouse. It's huge, but it's a party. It's like it's not a party, but it was an event. And there was a lot of attorneys, doctors. It was just a lot of highly educated people from Orlando. But the Queens had a table there. And I invited my husband as my security. Also, my charm on my arm. And oh my goodness, I look up and he's over in a corner, pretty much in a corner. And there's this beautiful Caucasian woman sharing her life with him. She had to have been sharing her life, right? She talked to you forever. I was sort of working my queenism. So I would just lay my eyes across the room and bat them and kind of wink and all this stuff. And, towards the middle of the evening, I walk over and I'm like, hi, honey. And she kind of jumped, like, oh, stuttering. Is this your wife? And he was like, yeah, this is my wife, Maurita. That's the best feeling ever. Because we don't ever hang out all over each other, hang on each other. We have gone to church for 2 years and no one knew we were married and we sit next to each other. That to me is, a lot of our friends will say, you guys are so secure in your marriage and you can separate and you don't have to be like sitting in each other's lap when you go out in public. If we do our Rotarian parties, hey, where's David? Oh, he's over there. Where's Maurita? Oh, she's over there. But we know who we are and what we feel about each other. We just feel that our presence when we're in the room, we take with us. So these are just some of the tips that we're giving to make the night, if you go out with, your spouse, it makes it fun, because at the end of the night, I get to leave with this handsome man on his arm as his charm, or whichever one we want to say first. And then we get to get in the car and giggle all the way home. Because I would say to you, remember that night? I was like, well, who was that lady? She was like all over you like white on rice. Oops, I don't know if I should say that, but that's how it felt. And she was beautiful. But I'm very secure in who I am and what I have. So we play our little love games or whatever, but it's so fun. So what do you want to share that's fun, that keeps us fueled in this beautiful marriage? I mean, you have to be with me forever because you just have to. But what's your thing?
I think my best thing is to try to stay out of the doghouse. Okay, I think that's the first thing.
That is amazing. Yes.
But other than that, every now and then it is a time to. I like smooth jazz a lot, and basically sometimes I will also. Can I get an amen? Hey.
In our marriage, the one thing that I do love is that whatever I ask him to do, he does it. I mean, with no, oh my God, he may say, okay, so this is the thing. Let's talk about this. Like when we first got married, it was really, really hard for you to tell me no. You never, ever, ever told me no. You would always say, not today, or I'll plan it. And I would share that with some of my girlfriends. They were like, that's going to be detrimental during your marriage. But it really wasn't ever. I think you really started like saying no the last 5 years, like the actual word no. And I mean, it was far and few, maybe 2 or 3 times. So I don't know if you said you didn't want to say no to disappoint me or hurt me or whatever. We've done a lot of praying about a lot of different things, but what do you say to that?
Well, I learned another language in the process. And that language is, no, I'm not doing that right now. We're not doing that right now. Y'all know that language, right? Okay.
But you always do come around and do it, some form of fashion. And one of the things that in saying that, ladies, in saying that, that taught me a lot of patience in this marriage. Like I said in the beginning, it would be, I'll do it, maybe a month after. But now he's gotten me to a point that when I ask for something, I'm not in that, I gotta have it today now, especially with the pandemic. Like, the last couple of months drew us really close together in creating stuff together, being able to create outside of each other, me starting a new business with some colleagues and things like that. Like I've never, in 20 years, I was telling our daughter this, I never ever partnered with anyone in a business except you since we've been married. And I don't even think we partnered in a business. I think we work in each other's business.
I think what you did, you became the boss of all of them and you're just bossing me around.
That could be true, but you still have ownership of yours. I have ownership of mine. But even in the pandemic, I ventured out and did some things. I think, the closer that you get with your mate, one of the things that, when I'm using the word fuel, this marriage, because it is, I mean, you can run out of a lot of gas. I mean, like you can be on empty for so long in a marriage that you forget what the gas station is. So I'm using the term fuel because you have to keep putting gas into the car for it to run. And you have to keep putting vows and kindle the relationship, keep the fire. Like when people say the flame, gas ignites that. So you have to keep doing that. I have to find ways to surprise him. That was one of the things that we used to do too. I think we still do it. I think we do it more of when my engagements of gift receiving comes around. We're normally into a bunch of stuff with our son for football because I'm spring, right? It's February, Valentine, March, my birthday, then Mother's Day in May. It's like that spring, summer thing. Christmas, February. Yeah, Christmas and going, okay, so let's take it that way. Those 6 months are very crucial when son is coming out of football or when we had all the kids, the 3 kids at home. And then we go into whatever, the finances were always geared to the kids. But now that we only have the one son here, after the last 5 years, we've been able to gift each other the things that we desire. And he wasn't there yet because we were in 4th ID. Okay.
I was in 110 cab.
With Shanahan. But before. So with that being said, I can say you snuck home sometimes to be with his wife and make sure he had a wife. You're supposed to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when you did that, what did you give me? A baby, right? Our 17-year-old. So that was pretty cool. But saying all that, kindling, fueling, keeping this marriage going. The one thing that I love to share with married couples is that we like each other. And that's so important because the Bible tells us that we are to love each other, but we have to like each other because there's a lot of people that could be in love, think they're in love. And what does love have to do with it? Tina said, ask. And there are points and times in a marriage where it takes more than just the love. You know, it's more of a physical, mental, spiritual action in a relationship with someone. You have to like them. What do you want to say?
I will say that words are powerful. They put things in motion. So even reflecting back on actions and vows, it's like anything else. You know how the words operate with you, whether you have your own business, whether you work for someone else is telling you to do something or whatever. They're very powerful, not only just for that moment, but also for time periods that surrounded or upcoming. So it's critical to identify with words to express how you feel about the relationship, how you feel about the person that you're with. And you shouldn't feel the shame about it. It's no set rules or anything you have to go by other than the fact, understanding the impact of the vows.
And vows are just important. They're amazing. And there's no wrong time ever where you can sit down with your spouse and recreate. It doesn't have to be the 5-year wedding that we're saying. We just wanted to share what we do because it's so important to us that we remember. I remember my grandmother telling me she was married for 60 years and my grandfather died at 90. They were married 60 years and he died at 90 in 2009. And I got married in 2001. And I remember, and I was the only granddaughter at the time out of all those boys, my cousins and my brother. And I remember my grandmother saying to me that every year she used a year, but I'll agree with it. You learn something, it could be every day, but you learn something new about your spouse. She said, even with him going through Alzheimer's, when he got up in age, in his 80s, and he went through Alzheimer's and a little bit of dementia, she learned something new about him. And that just warmed my heart because saying that to me gave me revelation that there's always going to be something new about this man. There's always going to be something new that he's going to bring to the relationship. He's going to share with me. Or it's going to be something that I don't like about him that we can work towards fixing. The same with him with me. Her saying that set me on fire to look for those things, to look for the goodness in who he is as my husband. And, you know, I think with, you know, the Hilux doing this session, it's like putting us out here to say there is no really, really sound book because we read books, we read the Bible, but I'm telling you the intimacy between you and your spouse and how you want to delegate in the marriage, who does what, who shares what. I think that's what's important. Like, even with our kids, I'm the person that would overreact when something happened, like when our first daughter kissed a boy, you know, and came home and told us. I freaked out, calm as a cucumber. Like, when things happen, Dad is more like, okay, sit down, let's talk about it. And I'm like screaming my head off. I can't believe this happened. Is your mouth clean? You know, just losing it. But as the relationship grew, the kids knew to go to Dad first, then come to me. But then if the kids wanted to do something, you know, if it was something going to be a little shady, they're going to go to Dad. If it's going to be something they want out of the kindness of their own hearts, and me and Dad have to pay for it, they come to me. So we knew in our marriage, and I love this, that we delegate. We know where our delegated place is in our marriage, even though sometimes it bugs us when it comes to our children. But then also, it took a long time for me to understand what a budget was.
Still working on it. Okay.
But I'm working on it with him. I'm working on it. I'm not one, I mean, like, I'm a professor. I teach grown-ups in a university. You know, I'm also in certain things, I speak, I'm a coach. And when he says, hey, let's get pen and paper, I'm like, I don't want to sit down with you and write notes. But I've grown to understand that that's a side of him. Writing things down is very important to him. And now I get it. So I just sit down and I do it. But listen, wives, ladies, there are things that our husbands like to do. And as long it is, I say it as a joke, godly, but I mean it, godly, do it. But then for husbands, it's the same thing. I mean, you do a lot. Like if I say, let's go to one store and we end up going to 4. Or if I say, let's go to the beach and we end up going to a movie.
Or if you say make the bed, which last person out of bed makes bed.
So we had that joke this morning. You literally jumped out of bed and left me in bed. And I said to you, oh, so you're doing that now? Because I've been leaving him in the bed. And he says, oh, so you expect me to make the bed? I mean, were you serious?
No, you expected me to stay in the bed until you got out before.
So you can make
so
the
I can
bed.
make the bed.
Yes. So we have this thing in divine order where all beds have to be made, all dishes have to be washed, because I love that sweet hotel feeling of waking up each morning to cook breakfast in a fresh kitchen and go to bed in a fresh bed.
One thing I will say, and I know our time may be closing on this, but I still have to rely on the principles of the Bible. And I know there may be someone who hear that who may not believe, but you know, it has established the ground rules for a lot of the play that we do. So with that being the perspective, I remember hearing Dr. Frederick Price once make a statement. In his household, it depends on who does what the best is, who does what, okay?
Right.
If my wife is better at budgeting and doing the bills, she got it. If I'm better at cooking, I got it, okay? Which I am better at her cooking. But anyway, she has more time than I do. So with that in mind, I could also beat her folding clothes. But anyway.
You don't fold clothes right. I've been trying to tell you. You have to fold them the way my grandmother taught me how to fold.
She be trying to starch my underwear and iron them and stuff like that. And homeboy don't go with that, okay?
You're too cute.
But anyway, you know, the bottom line, what we've tried to relate to today, in particular with all the antics and everything else in between, is how important relationships are, and the vows, understanding how the vows play a role in completing this this marriage.
But you know, and I want you to speak up a little louder.
Okay.
Okay. The vows are what, and you know, vows are what you create. And I know one of, what I've always put in our vows every 5 years is I promise to love you as much as you love me back. And I've always said that to him. Like, that's probably the main thing that I've always told him, is that I will always love you as much as you love me back. I don't know if you remember one of yours. I'm not putting you on the spot because I know what you said, but what do you?
Most of my vows have been a recommitment to keep the promises that I gave when we first got married. Maybe I modified them from time to time, but to be the provider, to be the protector, and to be the friend. Probably 3 things that will stay consistent with my vows.
So what do we want to say for our final tips to our married couples? Look at you sitting back. Oh my gosh, are they that good? No, I'm just, I mean, number one, I guess I can throw them out and you can come in on the end if I forget. Start liking, because I know we're at a place where you could be newly married or thinking about getting married or married 20 years like ourselves. And wherever you are, just remember that liking each other is really important. And that comes from going to the park, setting up dates. Like, you don't stop dating because you're married. I mean, we call it day dates. Like, I put a name to everything pretty much, but we call them day dates because it just feels good. It's like, honey, let's go do a day date. Everyone thinks dates are at night, at dinner, roses, wine, eat a steak, potato, come home. That is not what I like. I mean, I just want to give you guys, make it a day date. Like, get a sitter and go out in the morning, go for breakfast, go on a run, go on a jog, go to the gym. We've done so many day dates and we would go overtime for what we have. So liking each other enough to date again. Make a list of what you like and what you don't like so that you can work on it. No judgment, no judgment. Sometimes it could be that's what you think about me, but don't take it personal. Because when you love each other, you should be able to share your good times and your bad times outside of what we want to be realistic. There are going to be things we don't like about each other, right? But we can work on them. So first is like each other enough to go out with each other again and again and again. Secondly, write down what you like and don't like about each other so that you can continue to like each other. And what would you say for the third one?
It's always obvious that when you identify a problem, it must be brought out. Now, you have to figure out the strategy or technique in order to do that. And it may not always change at that moment, nor will it always be visible. But what you need to do is make an effort, because in making an effort, it shows a desire that you are concerned, that you are willing to adjust, and that you actually love that person enough to accommodate the desires. And in that, we get the desires of our heart.
So with that being said, one of the other things that I'll throw in before we really close out here is I have this thing where I love for him to tell me he loves me. And there's this little girl that's on a meme and she goes, or they've turned it into a meme. Do you love me?
Excuse me.
Are you sleepy? I love you. You love me? You love me?
Yeah.
You love me?
Yeah.
You love me?
Yeah.
You love me?
Yeah.
And that's what she does to her dad.
And then she slaps her dad.
She slaps her dad. Yeah, do I slap you?
No.
I don't. He said no. I don't, but I do ask him that a lot. I don't know if it bothers him or not, but I tend to ask you that a lot. But I just love hearing him tell me he loves me. So find out what your quirks are and what likes and dislikes again. Like, I know I like that. So we kind of talk about it and laugh about it a lot. And I don't think he gets mad at me for asking him over and over and over and over, do you love me? But do you? Those are one of the things. Like, we just find what we like about each other. Like ice cream, Haagen-Dazs, chocolate.
Black walnut ice cream, that is.
Any flavor. I mean, any company. Correct? I know I like Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah.
And he surprises me with ice cream all the time. Like, yeah. So, where you can connect with this handsome man and myself is we have so many outlets. I mean, your Facebook page is David H. Brown, and I am Maurita Sutton Brown at all channels of social media. And my website is lifecoachmaurita.com.
I don't have anything but Yahoo.
That's your email. You're so
And
cute.
Facebook.
So we want to just thank you guys for having us on the show and just sharing a little bit about our marriage and how we actually keep it fueled and how our vows has led us to victory. And I think I'll keep him.
I just have to say, just remember, nurturing, which is simply cultivating around a plant, will make it grow. And the same thing with your relationship. Cultivating around the grounds of it definitely will make it grow.
Oh, that's so cute.